Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Welcome to another special episode of the Mama's Geeky Show. We are here with the author of The Last Kids on Earth. Woo!
Hey guys.
We're so excited to talk to you today. So first things first, for people who don't know and are clearly missing out, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Last Kids on Earth?
Okay, so I'm Max Brallier. I write the book series The Last Kids on Earth, and I also one of the producers, one of the writers on the television adaptation of The Last Kids on Earth for Netflix. And it's the story of Jack Sullivan, who's a sixth grade boy who one day is on his way to school, and these strange interdimensional portals open in the sky, and monsters and a zombie plague comes like tumbling through, and then the world is sort of ended, and Jack teams up with three buddies to sort of become these like end of the world action heroes and try to they wrestle all sorts of emotions and stuff like that.
So where did you come up with this idea? Because this is like one of the coolest ideas I've ever heard.
Well, thank you for saying that. It was like a combination of stuff. Like I'd written some other books, and I didn't know what I wanted to do next, and I really liked the idea of I wanted to do some sort of like an illustrated, like a book that had illustrations, like an illustrated hybrid sort of thing. And I hadn't seen that as like an adventure story yet. I'd seen mostly those in like sort of diary form, like the journal form. And I had a treehouse in my backyard when I was a kid. That was like a big thing that I had and I loved. And I also had, I had grown up in Pittsburgh a little bit, where like a lot of the great zombie movies were made. So I was like very aware of zombies. Like I was obsessed with Dawn of the Dead from like a way too early age. And then I just always loved like giant monsters, like the Rancor from Return of the Jedi. That was a big inspiration on the blog. Yeah, that was like one of my favorite. Tremors, like my favorite movie ever. So like I was like, okay, I want to write something. What if I just like sort of jam these things together? It's like great. Like I took the treehouse, and I took the giant monsters and the zombies, and sort of like threw them in a pot, and then like out came Last Kids.
I know. I was like, they found it on Netflix one day, and almost always they come to us with stuff. Mom, Dad, you're gonna love this, and we're like, okay, sure, yeah, it's a kid show. And this, we were like, oh my god, this is so much fun. We love it. It's something we watch as a family because like this is really cool. Like who would have thought zombies and monsters? Like it's the best.
I'm figure that. Yeah, that was one of the tougher things early on. It was like, I wanted to do, like, I had done some zombie stuff, and I was like, maybe I'd just like a giant monster, like, end of the world thing. But, like, then my editor was like, no, but I think zombies, like, will help, like, gives them sort of like an earthly threat that feels, like, relatable. I was like, is it weird to combine the two? And I was like, no, I think it's just going to be fun. So
it's cool, because at first I was like, wait, is it zombies or is it monsters? Oh, it's both. Well, this is cool.
Yeah, sometimes I call it, like, a monster-zombie apocalypse. Like,
yeah.
Post-apocalyptic world.
Exactly.
Yes.
Just another post-apocalyptic world, right? Yeah. Go ahead, honey.
How did you feel when you got the call from Netflix to make a series, a show?
Oh, that's a good question. It was amazing. Like I got a call from the animation company, Atomic Cartoons. So they do the animation for it, and we had gone into the Netflix offices, and it was super cool. It was it was like ridiculously awesome and like high tech, and it was sort of like new then, I think. And they had this big new like fancy wall, it's like all videos, and it was like showing this like interactive like Stranger Things like sort of thing when you walked in. It's really cool, and it was amazing. It was like wait, is this real? I feel like I'm being like pranked. Like even though like we had already gone in and like sat in their offices and pitched it, I feel like it's like this is not happening. So it was like amazing, and then scary because it's like, okay, it's gonna be a lot of work, and I want it to be good and all that stuff. But it was amazing. It was just beyond. So like it was. I mean, I have an office full of like my toys when I was a kid. So to then see something like that come to life in that way, it was just like beyond.
That's so cool. Go ahead, honey.
What was the casting process like for Last Kids on Earth?
Ooh, okay, casting was really fun. Like a little bit, like it's a weird thing where it's like super fun, but it's hard to just totally enjoy it, especially for the main characters, because like it's such an important thing to get right. And I felt like if you don't get it right, like then like the whole thing kind of falls apart. So it was for Dirk and June and Quint. if I recall, it's been like, I think almost 3 years now, probably. It was fairly, like, it wasn't that difficult. Like, we had like a lot of people who came in and gave us like really good reads for it. And our first choices for all three were available. Like, we loved Monty. We loved everybody who the people we finally went with. And then Jack was the hardest one, where it was tough to get like a mixture of like action hero, but not like just like typical action hero, like action hero, but also like funny and also like making fun of himself in a way. And so that was tough. And then like when we finally got Nick's, we heard Nick's read, and I was like, oh wait, this is great. This is like really perfect. So that felt really good. And then the casting for like Bartle and the chef, and those was just like, okay, like let's see. Is it possible to get Mark Hamill, or with Chef? Like, we wrote that character just because we wanted to work with Bruce Campbell. Like, okay, what if we just create a character from the ground up to be a Bruce Campbell character? And like that worked. And so those that was just like fun. Like we get a list of like people available, and it's like 20 actors who are like made, like, that you grew up with, loving, or super hot right now. And it's just like very, very cool. So that was more just like, this is fun, and we can just like see who we can get. And I think we got like our first choice for actually for every single one, I believe. Yeah.
Wow.
Just amazing. Yeah.
I mean, Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's got to be like
sitting there. Like, there's a moment where we're sitting there like in the studio, and like I think he needed like clarification on like how something is pronounced. I'm like, I'm like speaking the thing, telling Mark Hamill like what to say. And it's just like, this is insane. Yeah,
that's so crazy. And always seems like he's such a nice guy too.
Super nice guy. He's very like normal, like down to earth, just like awesome, and like super professional, and like just the things he does with his voice are incredible. Like when he first was like, I remember him figuring out the Bartle voice, and he's like, it could be a little bit like this, or a little bit like this, or add a little bit of this. Like each time his voice is just like morphing in front of you. Like, it's crazy. Just like that talent is ridiculous. So it was very, very cool.
He's awesome. Go ahead, honey.
Are any of the characters based on real life? Are any of them based off of you?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. So Jack is the one who's the most based on real life, and he's the one who's most based on me. Like, his sort of like this quest to find like a real like group of like friends and family, like that sort of like wanting to fit in thing. That's like very much based on me, and his sense of humor and stuff. Jack's much more, even though Jack's sort of like self-deprecating in the same way I am, but he's definitely more just like regular confident too than I am. I don't have any of that confidence. I wish I did. So Jack's one who's most based on me, and then the other characters are sort of like, they kind of, I do a lot of outlining when I write usually, but for the first Last Kids I didn't. I just sort of like created the characters as I went, like based on like what felt right as I was writing Jack's story. And so Quint like was like very sort of became obvious to me, and I wanted like I love James Bond movies, and I love the Goonies, I love like gadgets. It's like, okay, I need like a gadget character for this to be like fun to write. Mm-hmm. So Quint's voice and stuff like that, like he didn't come from anybody like real that I know, but like the way that they talk, they're back and forth about like movies or whatever, just like their quick like rapid fire like rapport, that's very much based on just like me and my friends, like growing up, like all my high school friends or my best friends today still. Yeah, so that's the two most maybe like real, is like Jack and Quint's best friend relationship. It's like a very sort of real one. And then Rover is very much based on like, I had a dog when I was a kid, and I wanted to ride a dog. Like I love He-Man, and I was like, I wish I could ride my dog like He-Man, rides Battle Cat. And then so I was like, all right, I'm putting it in there. So those are like the characters that are the most like that came from someplace real. Yeah.
We have a pug and a puggle. They probably would like to ride them, but they would squish them immediately.
Yeah, I had a little tiny like little mutt that I would like try to ride, and I was like, stop doing that. You're gonna like hurt the dog. Like, go ahead. Turn up like in the background, like.
What message do you want kids to take away from Last Kids on Earth?
Ooh, that's a good question. What message? So for me, like whenever I like I'm creating something or writing something, and I write some different book series, and they all are the heart of them. It's always like a big um, adventure. Like it's an adventure, and for me, it's usually less about the message within the story and more about like the value of enjoying the story itself. Like, so like I always, when I was younger and like still now, same exact thing. Like I always turn to like movies and books and comics when I'm having like a bad day or like bad day at school. Like I moved around a bunch when I was a kid and I was really shy. And like I would have like those bad days at school or like bad weeks or bad months or like a lousy summer or something. And like I would watch like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and the Goonies and I would read like the Hardy Boys and Tintin and like the Bone series. Like I would like read that stuff and like that's what I would like. I would sort of like get lost in like fictional worlds or like with fictional characters and friends as not like a substitute, but like it was a way it sort of felt cozy and comfortable and safe. And so I don't know if there's necessarily like one message that I want people to take away from Last Kids, but like for me, it's more about like I hope that it provides that to somebody else who might need that. That's sort of like my bigger thing. Yeah. Which I don't like, there's no way of like setting it, there's no way of like trying to make that happen beyond just trying to make something that you think is really fun and have characters that hopefully you can relate to and enjoy. And like, I always want to write characters where like you want to be friends with them. Not that they're perfect in any way, but like that you want to like spend time with them. That's like something like I always loved in like in anything. Like I wanted Han Solo to be my best friend. Like that's like that's what makes me like some things. Like I want to spend time with the characters.
And now you've worked with Luke Skywalker. So
yeah, I know.
right?
Yeah. Like, I always wanted to be Luke and be friends with Han. That was like my thing.
Go ahead, honey.
Have you ever made a voice appearance in the series?
I'm a zombie. I think I'm a zombie. Like we recorded zombie voices for like the school bus scene in the first and like the first episode, the 66-minute special. And then I think it's in there. Like I try to listen hard to make sure like I can hear it. And then like I think that's me. Then I'm like no, it's not me. So they recorded as me as a zombie, but I was like also really bad at it. Like I was not even I was like bad. Like it wasn't even like when somebody does like a bad zombie impression. It's like funny, like I'm a zombie. Like it was just bad, like all around. It wasn't like a good bad impression. It was just like a bad zombie voice.
Wasn't even good bad, just bad.
Yeah, I think there's like a background sound in there somewhere, but like yeah.
They put it in just for you. We'll put it in, but we'll cover it up.
I took like photos like in the booth with it, like talking, and like I think I said to my parents like, "Oh, you doing a voice?" Like, and I was like, "No." Like they said I wasn't any good, so like, but I got a full photo. Like that was it.
That's funny.
If you could choose one monster to be real, what would it be?
Then Rover, probably. Yeah, I want to be real. Rover.
That's her.
I want to like ride Rover around. I want to hang out with Rover. I like. There's like stuff in the Nightmare King storyline the Zombie Parade storyline where he and Rover just have like quiet time alone and like talking to each other and they're like, or like Jack's talking to him. I like to use Rover as like a way for like Jack to sort of like speak his feelings out loud. He's sort of like he can like say stuff for the audience that like he wants to say to Rover, and I just love when they're like he's just like having like I think he's like drinking out of like Rover's drinking out of like a bowl like a weird like monster skull bowl. I just love them together. I want Rover. Yeah.
That's what they said. They said they want a real Rover. Even though we have 2 dogs, they want a Rover.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He's a giant purple dog that you could ride. Who wouldn't want him? What weapon would you choose in a post-apocalyptic world?
Ooh, a big bomb is probably cheating. So that's the whole thing. So like definitely some sort of like cool truck would be amazing. And then so the slicer, like I had the idea when I had the idea for the slicer. That's one of the first ideas I had. I was like, oh, that's like cool and different. Like, it's a baseball bat. Like that makes sense for like a kid that age. You'd have like a baseball bat as a sword. It's a cool way of taking something that you like see in real life. It's like relatable. It's a baseball bat, but now it's like a weapon. That's really cool. It's like splinters. It's like sharp. So that's cool. But like, I think I would want, like, I've always like been super into like some sort of like crossbow type thing. Like, yeah. I think I really like a really cool crossbow toy when I was a kid. I don't know what happened to it, but it was awesome.
I would always want something that just I can stay far away. Like I don't want to have to get close.
Yeah.
Like Quint's dirty sock cannon.
Yeah, a sock cannon. Yeah, any sort of cannon would be. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, honey.
If the world ended and you were alone on Earth, what would you do first?
I go to the movies by myself. And I'd watch, like, I played like Mario Kart on like the giant screen or something like that.
Yeah,
That would be cool. I'd like to do that. And then let's see, anything. What else would I do? I'd like to, like, I don't know. I'd go like play, like run around the baseball, like run around like Yankee Stadium. Well, now it's like the new Yankee Stadium. But run around like Old Fenway or something. Like, and, like run around the grass like by myself. Yeah.
that would be cool. All right, go ahead, honey.
How hands-on are you with the show?
Very. So we had 5 writers, and I was one of those 5 writers. And so we were in a writer's room together every day. And then first outlining sort of the story for the seasons, and then writing the individual episodes together and sort of breaking them down. And then for all like the animation, everything, sort of like reviewing stuff along the way, like very hands-on. I was very lucky that I was like able to like really put my voice into it. I reviewed everybody's scripts sort of before they would go into production, along with the showrunner Scott Peterson, who was much more like, I was very differential because he's much more in charge, knows what he's doing. I don't, just winging it. And yeah, so like very hands-on with the cast, everything, really the casting process, everything. So I don't have like the let's see, the luck or the excuse or the out of being one of those authors who was like, they took my thing, and like, if you don't like it, like, sorry, that's Hollywood, but like, no, like, if you don't like it, you can yell at me.
Yeah. It's my fault too.
My fault too. Yeah.
One last question. Are there lots of differences from the book and the show?
As the show goes on, the number of differences increase. So like for the special that opened the series, it's pretty close. Like the dialogue and things and the jokes are different, but like the structure of it is the same. And then for book 2, the Netflix book 2, which is sort of the same, that it matches up to Last Kids on Earth and the Zombie Parade. It's the same kind of structure, but I had like one of the really fun parts of it was then getting to write some stories that were more like Quint heavy or Dirk heavy or June heavy. Because one of the things about writing the books, it's all from Jack's point of view. Like, it's first person, so you only see like what Jack sees. Every interaction with anybody is through Jack's eyes. So getting to write just like Quint and Skelka, like being private eyes and trying to solve a mystery together, was like really fun. Yeah, and then for book 3, we got to veer, I think, like go a little even further out to like where so that's the Nightmare King, and like there's some different, no major like differences. You're like, wait, what happened to that person or something? But just like able to like to really like expand upon and like spend more time with certain characters, stuff like that. And then for the climax, though, it is like much bigger, and there's more, just like a lot more going on for the last maybe 3 episodes of the season, where it just gets like big. And so that was really very, very cool. Yeah, that was like one of my favorite things. And that the reason I ended up writing a book called Last Kids on Earth: June's Wild Flight, which is like just a book about June on her own like side quest adventure. And that was because it was like so much fun in the writer's room, like getting to just like write like a June episode. And I was like, I want to do that in book form. So that was like one of the things that made that happen.
Do you have like a set number of books in your head that you want to do, or you just doing it?
Yeah, I do. Like, basically, like roughly. I don't want to just like, I mean, part of me wants to just keep doing it. But like, once I started working on, I think it was like around the end of book 3 or book 4, I was like, okay, I got to decide. I'm just going to like sort of keep doing like there's adventure, like they live in this town and then there's different threats, or is it like it's one big sort of epic thing? And so it evolved, and I went with like the epic thing route. I had to sort of pick one or the other, and so it had kind of evolved towards that. I felt like that was more true to the stuff that I loved. Like I love like like the Lord of the Rings type thing with the big quest. And so right now I'm writing book 7 and starting to outline book 8. And so I think there will be maybe like either 10 or 11. So we're getting towards like the end. I want to make sure that like it doesn't like all the ending stuff feels like big and like time like planned out. So I know kind of how I want it to end. I hate like nothing ruins something like you spent all this time with something and then like you feel like the end like they're just making they were trying to up along as they were going. Like so like I've really like gone to ending is so important. I've gone like a lot of lengths to like me and my editor sit and talk about like how like okay, so we do this in book 7, that'll pay off in book 9, stuff like that. Really trying to do that, not just say we're doing that, but actually doing that. And then, but I want to continue to do like along the way, hopefully a couple more of those sort of like June books or like a Quentin Dirk book. I'm not sure what exactly, but stuff like that. So, so I think like, 10 or 11 books, like the main storyline, and then like a couple of those little side adventures. So those are fun, just to have like a fun adventure on the side.
Well, hopefully we get them all on Netflix. That would be fantastic.
Oh, fingers crossed, please.
Yes.
I want at least 10 or 20 books.
10 or 20. She's
20.
giving you extra work now. I need. I'll need an assistant then. You can more Last Kids on Earth. That's her request.
Yeah, we love Last Kids on Earth.
Oh, thank you guys.
Favorite show.
Favorite show. Oh, that's my praise there. All right, guys. Well, all of you watching, be sure to watch on Netflix. It's out now, and if you haven't seen it yet, you get binge it all. It's all there. Check it out. You guys are gonna love it. I promise you. But thank you so much. Seriously, thanks for taking the time this week. And
absolutely, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.